The order is not building your dream course. The order is building an audience who's willing to listen to you, a fraction of whom are willing to pay you. And in the act of delivering your services and coaching people, it becomes clear what your course should be.
It can seem like celebrity entrepreneurs won the jackpot, but there's more to the story. Behind the blockbuster coaching programs, offers, and live events are stories of careful development, fixed mistakes, and strategy. On this season of the Coach Pony podcast, I'm sitting down with successful business owners to ask them, how do you build that? I'll talk to a wide range of coaches and leaders, digging into how it all started, what they learned, and what you should know if you want to play a similar game. And with that, let's get down to business.
Today, our guest is Marc Katz, a date coach for women who has built a multi-million-dollar coaching empire with 30-plus million blog readers and over 13,000 women in his Love You program. Love You is the world's most effective program in helping you regain your confidence, fix your broken man picker, and get the unconditional love you deserve. Marc Katz, you're the next guest on the Coach Pony podcast. Come on down.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Coach Pony podcast. Today, we're talking with the amazing Marc Katz about how he came to dominate the date coaching industry. And specifically, we're going to dive into his marquee program, Love You. So welcome to the podcast, Evan. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me back. It is a pleasure to see you in these circumstances, and I look forward to our conversation today.
Yes, Evan and I met many, many years ago on a cruise for matchmakers, which seems like an odd thing, but he was there working magic. I was there to give a presentation. And now finally, 9 or 10 years later, we run into each other again, which is exciting.
I think it says a lot about both of us that we've persevered.
So let's dive in. So Love You is an amazing program with many, many, many thousands of people in it. And I know you've been in business for a really long time. And so you've had other programs, but tell me about the day that you got the idea for Love You.
I love your question. And it's a simple question, but no one's ever asked it to me before. So I'm kind of excited to, I started doing this in 2003. We talk about, how does one become this, the saying, be first or be best. I was the first. I'm not going to say how good I am, but go find another dating coach who's been doing it since 2003. So I might have been the first. And so when you have, as any coach knows, the same kind of conversations over and over and over again, and you kind of figured out how to best answer them in a way that people could receive that information and implement the advice, you're left with, oh my God, I have to figure out how to do this at scale. So I had an idea, just like a Word document, and I called it the Manhattan Project. I was like, it's a huge idea. It's everything I've ever learned in a box, but sometimes you don't even know what you know until you start to try to organize it and write it down. So for years, I had a monthly coaching program called Focus Coaching. I think it ran from 2012 to 2016. Every month, you would get a CD, because that's when you get a CD in the mail, and you get a physical, printout newsletter that you had 3-hole punch and it came with a binder, right? And we do a monthly phone call on a different topic, right? So it was this $47 a month thing, and we had anywhere between 250, 300 people in it at a time. And every month I wrote a 16-page script. So I ended up with 48 hours of individual coaching topics, however minute. And then at a certain point, I ran out of stuff to say. And I was like, I don't know. This is about all I got. So I went through those 48 hours of individual coaching things, and I said, here's the best 26. And it was somewhat arbitrary, but I wanted to do a half-year coaching program. And so that's where I started to cull from. I've been gathering the material for the first 10 years of my career. And then in 2016, I took all of that stuff and created, I saw Marie Forleo's B School, and I was like, I want to do that. But I can't do mine in 8 weeks. Like I have too much to say. And so mine turned out to be a 6-month program walking you through everything you need to know from confidence to commitment from a man's perspective.
So tell me, when you first launched that program in 2016, what was your first goal with it? What were you hoping to accomplish in terms of both students and revenue?
I forget. I'm so used to talking about dating and relationships, and I never really think about revenue in terms of how I frame my own business. At the time, I had a full service tech team. They worked for me. It was 4 people working full time for me, and the business was on a huge upswing at that time. And that first launch, we sold the program, and again, I was literally patterning it after Mary Forley, except we were keeping it the same price. We just gave a lot more value. Nothing against Mary Forley, but like we give a lot more. 6 months of access to these videos, audio, transcript, exercise, weekly coaching for 26 weeks for $2,000.
Wow, that is cheap. That is cheap.
And that first time around, we had 300 people. And we had, the normal refund made, but it was a $500,000 launch. And then that went well. And so then like 6 months later, we did the whole Love You program without coaching, just the digital version. Hey, watch all the videos, have lifetime access to go through these modules, right? Confidence, meeting men, dating, understanding men, relationships, commitment, and you have lifetime access to that. And we sold it for a fraction of that price. I think we sold it for $800 or something like that. And that also made about that much money. We just had, more people. So it was a really, really amazing year, 2016.
Were you trying to enroll around 300 people? Was that your goal for that first round? Or did you have any goal at all? You were just like, let me put this and enroll, and whoever takes it, takes it.
I think, and you probably know this better than I do. You find different coaches, and you'll find the person who's like, I'm the spiritual, intuitive coach, friend, right? And then you'll find the person who's just like, I could coach anything as long as I'm profiting off of it. They're the spreadsheet coach. They're the projection coach. And I'm neither. I'm the content person. The thing that draws me the most is I'm not at all spiritual, and I'm not really money driven. Money's the byproduct of a job well done. So I don't set revenue goals. I do the best that I can with what I got. So I'm never going to say, oh man, I wish I tried this. We went big on that one. We did a whole Jeff Walker product launch sequence. We spent money on Facebook ads. We had a really big mailing list at a time. We put everything into the ring, and it turned out to be a success. So I've never really functioned on revenue goals, and I've been lucky that my revenue has been stable for close to a decade.
It sounds like, though, and if I could say for new coaches listening, it's okay to have any type of goal you want, and it always, of course, we want the goal of just delivering a great program, and that sounds like that was what you were focused on, getting the content in the world in this particular style, and you had enough of an email list that you knew it was going to be a success.
But it was all, you never know what's going to happen. Like when you're introducing something new into the world, whether people will be receptive to it, and you also learn things that don't work, right? Like that's also part of the humbling process of running a business. Is I created this gorgeous behemoth of a course, and I found a lot of people didn't even make it to the end of the course. They lost their momentum along the way. And when I used to have the first week, I'd have 150 people on those weekly group calls. By the end, I had about 40 people in those weekly group calls, and I realized, oh, this isn't about me. I thought it was about me. This isn't about me. This is Love You is the gym. I'm the personal trainer. And some people just don't have the fortitude or desire to continue to go to the gym. They just want the result.
I love that comparison, because a lot of coaches don't realize that when you create an online program, a lot of people will sign up and then never finish it. And it's nothing to do with you. It's just they get excited, life happens, they realize they want to go another way, they get lazy, whatever it is. There's a lot of reasons. But just know that a lot of people aren't going to finish your program no matter what you do. And so I love that perspective that you created the gym and you were the trainer and people had to show up for their fitness.
But it's hard to detach from...
Yes. Because
again, there are people who are like, I made my revenue, I had my big launch. And for me, I'm like, no, I really, really want you, like, I promised you a tangible result, and I can't get you a tangible result if you don't watch these videos and you don't show up on the calls. And for me, I'm very much about the people and the result, and everything else takes care of itself. Like, if I have a good connection with my clients and I'm doing work with integrity, if I have a huge launch and it tanks, did the best I could. Like, as long as I feel like did the best I could, I can't really complain. I'll complain to my wife, but,
I understand that. You want to leave it all on the field.
I think that's kind of all you can do in this sort of ever-changing landscape where, this webinar software is the big thing, and then, webinars are dead. No one's doing webinars anymore, and there's summits and there's JVs, and then, you have to have a bot to talk to people on Facebook. Jesus, you just can't even keep up with it. So if you are a coach and it comes from a real deep place in your heart, right? It's the Marcia Sinitar book from the 80s. Do what you love and the money will follow. Like, just make individual connections with people, make a difference, care, over-deliver, and the rest will work itself out.
Yeah, I love the last one, especially care and over-deliver. Those are two great things. So you started out, you built this beautiful program, you did a really splashy Facebook ad launch, Jeff Walker launch, which is using a specific type of, for anyone listening, it's PLF, product launch formula, a specific type of strategy to launch your program. Then the next time you actually made it do it yourself, you changed the pricing, kept the same beautiful portal program. What else did you do after that? How else did you evolve or change the program since that point to where we are today? Like, what in big ways, or have you?
Well, we were talking about before we started recording, how circumstances change and then you have to pivot to meet the circumstances. And so 2016 was when Google was my best friend. Google called me to get into business. Hey, would you like to advertise with us? Because we're sending you 1 million people a month who Google stuff in the middle of the night. Why is my boyfriend a jerk? When do you have sex with him? Whatever you looked up, you'd end up on evanmarckatz.com. At that time, Google really liked me then. And subsequently, Google has changed its algorithm and started to favor different kind of content. My old school sort of advice, Dear Abby kind of columns were not their favorite columns. Now they seem to favor listicles. If you like writing listicles, like BuzzFeed kind of listicles, you're in luck. 10 ways you know your man's emotionally unavailable. Right? So how can you tell if a man's emotionally unavailable? Answering a reader question used to be the number one thing, and now it's not anymore. So my traffic went down over 90% since that launch. And so I've had to change my business model from selling volume, right, low price volume, lots of ebooks and audio courses and my digital programs, including Love You, to working with a very specific kind of client and rebranding very specifically. I'm a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women who have everything but the man. And that is a nod to the kind of people who generally chose me as their coach. And brand sort of reflects who you are to some degree. And also the economic reality of, I don't have the volume I used to. So if you don't have 3,000 new people giving you their email address each month and you have 300, you better figure out how to make the most of those 300. So now I offer group coaching and high-end coaching. That Love You program that started at $2,000 is no longer $2,000. All those prices have gone up considerably for me to walk you through that program.
So you made the program much more high touch.
At this point in time, I don't like to say anything on the record because you always want the right to change your price. But at this point in time, the digital program is $2,000. Right? The group coaching program now lasts for a year because people were, I told you I'm results oriented. People would graduate and they'd still need help. And they'd be like, but the program's over. So I doubled the length of coaching. It's now a year-long program, a 6-month curriculum with a year-long program, because I really want to hold people's hands till they get a tangible result.
We are so the same. My program is now a year-long program for exactly that reason. I want them to get the result.
I'm not going to abandon you now that things are starting to go well.
No, not at all.
So I doubled the length of coaching and I raised the price. And so now group coaching is now an $79.97 or $797 a month for 12 months. And I offer high-end private coaching for people who are interested in that. But the main thing I offer now is Love You 1 year of group coaching. And when we do it, it's, we got 40 women on Zoom and everybody gets a ton of personal attention. And so really lively, spirited group, and we talk about over delivering. I'm on the phone every Tuesday night for like 2 hours. It's like everything's like an epic concert where you take all these questions and then they hang out afterwards and they have happy hour drinks and they become friends. And so it's a nice little cult we've built here. It's not as big as it used to be, but the people who are here are getting more value than I've ever been able to give before. And that's been the value of fine tuning it. So Love You, the course is the same, but the way I've delivered it is now different.
And I love this because this happens to a lot of us. You start with one program. In your case, it was a 6-month, $2,000 program live with a lot of live coaching. Then it was a do-it-yourself program for a while. And then it evolved to be still the same type of training, but much more high touch, aimed at a smaller segment of the market. And that's normal for programs to evolve over time. So for new coaches, like, saddle up. Yeah! It's going to happen to you too, and that's okay. And you're demonstrating the different modalities and how to change them, and I love that. So how much did you spend building the first iteration of that program? Like creating the portal, and just give me a ballpark. You know, if you don't know details, that's fine. But when you created that portal and you set it up, how much do you think you spent on that?
Oh, I know. I mean, when I said I don't care about money, I mean, when I was building that, I was really in the trenches and paying attention to what we were doing. And I think, not counting what I was paying my team, the number that I had in my head for years was it cost about $75,000. It doesn't have to cost anybody else $75,000. It cost me $75,000 because I'm a perfectionist lunatic.
And that included, wait, let me just back up because I want people to understand what you were building. That was like a whole dedicated website with portal, video training, lessons, all sorts. So there was a lot of professional skills involved in creating this. Workbooks, I assume. Yeah,
I live in LA, and my background is movies, and it's important to me how things look. It's you really want to give someone, especially when you're positioning yourself as a high-end coach for women who have everything but the man. You can't do some shoddy ass, cell phone videos. So I rented office space. I got a camera crew, 2 or 3 guys, and we shot for 2 months, and we had 280 videos that we edited with musical intros, graphic, the whole thing. I don't think I'm going to have a legacy. I don't think people are going to worry about this in 50 years, but I'm going all in and putting everything I have, and no one could go through this program and say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy doesn't care. This guy didn't think about it. This has everything. So to shoot the videos alone probably cost over 50% of that, right? And then to edit 280 videos and have the spreadsheet to make sure all those things are right and the captions are right. It's a tremendous amount of detail. So the whole project, including building the portal itself, and making it look really, really pretty and user-friendly, and the professional photography and all that kind of stuff. It was a 5 to 6 month process.
Was there anything you would have, like looking back, where you're like, I could have spent less on that? Or, if doing it again, would I have spent this much money here? Is there anything that comes to mind?
It's the right question to ask, but I don't know I can give a good objective answer because it's my baby. It's the thing that I built. It's exactly what I wanted to build. I was the writer. I was the director, right? And I'm speaking movie terms, like it's mine. And so if it takes me, and I just rebuilt my website last year, and that was another project that took over a year, cost over 6 figures. Now, do you need to spend 6 figures to build a website? No, not at all. You can go on Wix and build one in 12 minutes. I wanted it. This is my business out in the world. I had 1,000 blog posts that needed to be organized and categorized and standardized with photos, and there's no half-assing it. So, you probably talk about the triangle: get something done right, get something done fast, get something done cheap.
2 of the 3.
I do it. I get 1 out of 3. Yeah. Right? I do it right. I don't do it fast. I don't do it cheap.
I want to get off topic just slightly because a lot of coaches I know, especially newer coaches, they worry if they build an online program, someone will come in and steal it, or they'll steal some of their content. So I don't worry about that myself very much, and I'll explain why in a second. You alluded to the fact that you don't worry about it that much either. So I'd just love for you to just briefly say why you don't worry about it.
I think it would be almost impossible. You could steal the idea. As I said, I've had clients openly ask for my endorsement, and then I go to their website and they're writing articles for the Huffington Post that are like my ideas with their name on it. It's like really like, it's kind of icky. But when it comes to coaching, you're either the original or you're a photocopier of a photocopy of a photocopy. And so since I'm the original, I'm not on any other coach's mailing list. I don't know what anybody else does. I can't steal anybody else's stuff. And if your business model is take a bunch of coaches' things, consolidate their teachings, put your name on it, and call yourself a coach, and that's an approach, but it's not really a threat to me. It wouldn't even occur to me. I'll protect my copyright, my trademark. Love You's trademark. I had to tell someone who was using Love You as their program to cease and desist. But you can't control an idea. You can't control the client's relationship with you and how they trust you. My ideas come from this really deep organic place of having gone on 300 dates for 10 years and having coached for now 18 years. So you could say the exact same thing I say, but if you don't have the anecdote to back it up, if you don't know the study that I'm saying, like, it's a photocopy of a photocopy.
Yeah, and that's actually very similar to what I would say, which is that, people can copy your stuff, but they aren't you. So they're never going to be able to generate new ideas the way you can. They're not going to be able to deliver your stuff if they steal it. And I've had some students show up, using the exact same words in the exact same order as well. But I'm not worried about it because they're not me. They're never going to be able to think the way I think, and that's totally fine. And I mean, I don't like it. And if I find you stealing my stuff, word for word, I will reach out to you. But yes, it's not something I think coaches should worry about too much.
It's the least of your concerns. It's the other thing. It's like complaining about I'm making money, so I'm in a higher tax bracket. Like, if you're big enough that people are thinking of copying from you, you're doing something right. So it's no fun. It's annoying, and it doesn't stop being annoying. It's just in the grand scheme of things you have to worry about in building your coaching practice. That should be the last one.
Yeah, it should not stop you from releasing your course. So I want to get to the closing part of this interview. And in keeping with our game show theme, we always want to close out with a fun game. This episode and everything in this episode, as always, is brought to us by two things, chocolate and awesome. Actually, not chocolate today, in a moment of sadness because I'm not eating sugar this week. And I'm suffering. It's maybe I am eating a little bit of sugar. It's a Protein Kind bar because I had a low moment this morning and I just couldn't face another day of eggs. So thank you, Kind, for making things that are somewhat good for us, though maybe a little bit bad. And also, the awesome is brought to us by Build Your Own Business, which is Coach Pony's structured program on how to build an amazing coaching business with happy paying clients, featuring training, support, and community. And you guys can find it at coachpony.com/barb-invite. That's BARB-invite. The game I want to play with you, Evan, is very briefly, is higher or lower. So I'm going to ask a few things about your business or your program, and I'm going to make some wild guesses. And anyone listening, feel free to guess along with me. And then you'll tell me if I'm right, if it's higher or lower. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm a little worried. Am I obliged to answer? I probably am.
Well, yes, that's according to the written contract that you agreed to,
okay.
But you definitely didn't sign. Okay.
Yeah, no, I have no trouble being honest. I just there's a reason I don't volunteer the information.
So the first round of Love School featured a big splashy launch. I'm going to say you spent $150,000 on the launch, which is the Facebook ads and the marketing associated with the launch. Was it higher or lower?
The courses Love You, and it was much lower.
Much lower. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm off to a terrible start. Okay.
No, you're lovely.
Thank you. So let's talk about refunds. The first round of Love You mentioned, had 300 people enrolled. A rule of thumb is that you usually get maybe 1% refunds, 2% refunds on courses like this. So I'm going to guess you had 3 refunds. Is it higher or lower?
Much higher.
Interesting. And another rule of thumb is if you get 10% refunds or higher, folks, you might want to consider tweaking your program a little bit. Just as a fun fact for everyone out there. The number of times you've updated the sales page for Love You over the last 5 years is 7. Is it higher or lower?
It's probably lower. I've done a few overhauls of it, but not constant tweaking.
I share that only so everyone listening as a new coach knows that you're going to update pages like this somewhat, at least a few times over the course of years. And so Evan's a great example of that. So awesome. That's it. That's all I'm going to inflict on you in our higher or lower game. So you survived. Well done. So Evan, please tell everyone where they can find you and also where they can find to love you if they're interested.
Sure. My name is Evan Marc Katz. I'm a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women who have everything but the guy. If you go to www.evanmarckatz.com, you've already heard, spent a lot of money on it, so I want you to check it out. And there's 1,000 blog posts, 200 podcasts, infinite amounts of free material. Go there, take a free quiz up front, watch some free videos. And if you're interested in changing your life, click on the link to apply to Love You. It's by application only. We'll get on the phone, we'll talk, and we'll figure out if you're a good fit for the program. And now you already know the prices, so there's not really a secret. The prices aren't listed on there, but now you know. Yeah, this is for people who are ready for a big change and are sick of being alone, being frustrated, wondering why other people get to have love and they don't. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for people who are super serious, and I only want you if you want to be at the gym. If you don't want to be at the gym, don't sign up for the gym.
Yeah, and you guys check out his website, evanmarckatz.com. There's a lot of really cool stuff there that might inspire you as coaches. There's a ton of help there. There's so much goodness and resources that are awesome if you're needing help with your love life. So Evan, thank you so much for being with us today and for playing the games and for opening the kimono and sharing some secrets. I really, really appreciate it. And I know our listeners do as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you for encouraging me to walk around with an open kimono.
Awesome. As always, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with another coach. And if you need more practical business help, for the love of chocolate, please go to coachpony.com and sign up for a free guide and business training designed to help you get paying clients. We'll see you over at www.coachpony.com.